Okay, so this session had one main goal, or actually two goals, one of which was dependent on the first one. The main goal was to get some hip hinges in 2 weeks after I tweaked my low back with the same exercise. And the reason why I wanted to get the same exercise that got me that little tweak is that it is important for me to reinforce that it is not the exercise, it was probably my execution or something in the context of being fasted since the night before and being in a prolonged calorie deficit. That in that session, there was something that kind of clicked, tweaked, and although my technique was not bad, I wanted to make sure that there is nothing that my brain subconsciously associates to the exercise that correlates with the fact of having gotten a tweak, a low back injury. So that was the main thing, kind of a positive reinforcement of that the exercise is a safe thing to do and load, especially since I have not really had any degradation over time. It's actually got better and better. So that was the first thing. Secondly, because I knew that I was not going to be loading that too much, I wanted to get something heavy in this session, and I went balls to the wall with the push-ups, which normally are just a warm-up set and a finisher at the end of the session. In here, I decided to go as high as I could, which was 35 reps in the first set, and I finished it off with 30 reps. So this is way higher than what I had done before. I believe that my previous max was 35 in the first one and 25 or 26 in the second one, so 60 total reps over 2 sets. This time I did 35 and 30, so I really did go way over what I was doing in the previous sessions, but also the rest of the session was not as demanding in terms of lower body stuff. I was doing hip hinges with 80 kilos, so not too shabby, not crazy. My working weight, where I got that little tweak, was 107.5 kilos, and that was the third rep on the second set. In here, I ramped up to 80 kilos, which is a comfortable 70% of my usual working weight, and I got a couple of sets of 5 with those. Really trying to load the hamstrings on the way down, feel the tension, and get a bit of a stretch reflex and pop back up. Really driving through those hips, not allowing any part of the low back to take more tension than it's needed. So just allow the low back to be the bridge between the lower and the upper part of the body, but nothing more than that. It needs only to be an isometric contraction. What really works is the hamstrings and the glutes, of course, and the lats also isometrically in stabilizing the upper back as well. So got a couple of sets with those. I was happy with the way they felt. I could have loaded a bit more, but I decided to stay on the safe side. I haven't done these for 2 weeks, and so I also had some front squats coming after. Front squats that I had been doing as a first exercise in the past couple of months. I decided to prioritize the hinges because I wanted to see how my low back felt as it was still fresh. And front squats, I decided to also taper down in not really intensity, because I was using 70 kilos working sets, but I was going way down in reps. So I did 8 reps in the first set, and they were feeling like they normally would. So 70 kilos is a heavy weight for me for these kind of repetitions. I was doing 10 reps before, but what I wanted to get done in here was basically using a weight that I'm accustomed with, and it's challenging, but for a slightly less work overall, just to be going slightly easier on something that could tax the low back. I have been working long and hard on keeping my torso as upright as my anthropometry allows. So in here, I really wanted to just get the stimulus of the front squats in, not pushing too hard. And really, the session overall was a success. I was really happy with that because I was able to both get into some hip hinges and some front squats with weights that I deemed appropriate for that session, and not really have any negative feedback from that. And also, I was able to push something a bit harder than the previous times. So the push-ups were probably the king of the session, even though they are really used as something that is not the meat and potatoes of the session. But in a situation like this, they rose up and took the crown of the main exercise for this session here. Looking at these reps from the side, I think it's really good torso stability, core engagement. I'm not allowing my low back to sink down. I'm really trying to reinforce the torso staying straight, and maybe a bit even of hip flexion at the top, really trying not to sink down and touch my chest on the floor on each rep. Good session. Ciao.